make Argentina great again. I think what they're doing to him is terrible. The person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it.
Argentina is heading for midterm elections late this month, and it is crucial for the current president Javier Milei to keep his house in order. And he has found an unlikely ally from across the continent, US President Donald Trump.
He's MAGA all the way. It's make Argentina great again.
This endorsement did not come as a surprise, but the timing and the tone say a lot more. Washington's old playbook was about covert coups against government it did not like. But now there are open election endorsements. Has America traded its spies for an unapologetic president is the question we are asking today. I'm Ananya Datta. This is Grey Zone. The United States has colonized countries throughout history, not in the same way the British did, but behind the illusion of democracy. In the backdrop of the Cold War, it was the fear of communism. In Africa, it was the fear of losing control of resources. In Latin America, it was the fear of not having yes men in its backyard. The list of countries that the US has directly or indirectly meddled in is long. We will be here all day if I start listing them. So we have put together 3 case studies that bring America's fear right, left, and center. All puns intended. It was 1953 Middle East. Mohammad Mossadegh had just dared to do what no other leader in oil-rich Iran had done before. He nationalized the country's oil, taking control away from the British. For the US, this was a red flag in the middle of the Cold War. The CIA stepped in, crafting a covert plan to remove him. They stirred street protests, bribed politicians, and flooded the airwaves with propaganda. Within months, Mossadegh was ousted, and the Shah returned to power in the pretext of bringing democracy. Decades later, declassified records proved the pre-planned plot. Africa saw a similar intervention in the year 1961. Congo was rejoicing in its independence from Belgium. Its first prime minister was sworn in, promising to use the country's vast mineral wealth to benefit its own people. But the neo-colonizers were listening to his speech with worry. It took Washington, D.C. just a year to overthrow the first prime minister. Declassified CIA documents reveal what had long been whispered in diplomatic circles. Patrice Lumumba was imprisoned and eventually assassinated. Latin America in 1973 had a similar story to tell. Salvador Allende won office through the ballot, promised a socialist vision for Chile. But Washington feared the ripple effect across the region. Project Fubelt was set in motion. Again, the same backdrop: economic pressure, political destabilization, and covertly backing the opposition forces. And it all worked. Allende was overthrown in a violent coup. General Pinochet seized power and ruled with an iron fist. Years later, declassified memos revealed the direct instruction and strategy from Nixon and Kissinger, leaving no doubt about America's involvement. And this was one of the firsts in a series of indirect coups in Latin America. So a close look at the US foreign policy will reveal that it hasn't changed much. The means have, but the fear persists. If we look at Trump's second presidency alone, he has openly endorsed political figures and threatened sanctions on others. Javier Milei is the latest example at hand. The Argentinian president has visited Trump 4 times in the last 10 months. Nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize, and received a $20 billion bailout for Washington.
He's MAGA all the way. It's make Argentina great again. I heard about him when he was campaigning, and even before his campaign. He's a great economist, and he was saying a lot of very correct things, and he was very much in a conservative mode.
You see, endorsing other political leaders is no crime, but Trump has taken it one step further by threatening actions against Argentina if Milei doesn't win in this election.
If the president doesn't win, I know the person that he'd be running against, I believe, probably. We probably have the person. A person is extremely far left and a philosophy that got Argentina into this problem in the first place. So we would not be generous with Argentina if that happened. If he loses, we are not going to be generous with Argentina.
So when did being from the far left be a reason to influence elections? And this kind of rhetoric isn't limited to Argentina. Look at what's happening in Venezuela. The country's socialist president, as controversial as he is, has been a regular target of Trump. The US has accused the Venezuelan man of stealing the election, imposed sanctions on Caracas, and raised a bounty on Maduro's head to $50 million. But still, it hasn't quite worked. So now the newly crowned Nobel Peace Prize winner, María Corina Machado, the opposition figure in Venezuela, is being used as a catalyst. The campaign has been extended to the sea, where Trump has greenlit military strikes against what he calls drug cartels. Brazil has a similar story to tell. Trump's open endorsement of Jair Bolsonaro, even though he can't run for election, sends out a strong message. The two have uncanny similarities. They hold similar nationalistic views, firmly fixated on the deep right of the political spectrum, have been polarizing figures in their respective countries. Their first terms in office overlapped. Then they both lost re-election campaigns. Following their defeats, they were accused of setting their supporters on a subsequent rampage. They both have faced criminal charges. The two have also survived COVID and assassination attempts.
And because what they're doing to their former president is disgraceful. I know the former president, he fought like hell for the people of Brazil, that I can tell you. And I believe he's an honest man. I think what they're doing to him is terrible.
It was expected that Trump wouldn't like Lula da Silva, the current president. Lula has positioned Brazil in a way where it isn't just a passive ally of the West, it is open to do business with the world. However, Trump is slowly realizing that backing Bolsonaro is only going to go so far. So now Trump is turning down the temperature on Brazil. The most fertile area for any deal may lie in rare earths, something Trump seems to love. But you see, the change in strategy also tells America only talks business. It isn't so much about the left or the right. So where once Washington relied on spies, coups, and secret operatives, today it wields a very different tool. An unapologetic president who openly endorses, threatens, and shapes elections abroad. The false narrative of democracy has been replaced by Make America Great Again. I'm Ananya Datta. You've been watching Grey Zone.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.